Hi, and welcome to the VHorns overview video. The VHorns family is a result of many years of reflection on how to best recreate single horn, brass, and wind instruments. The first test recordings began in 2012, but we weren't ready to release anything until it met our standards to offer the most realistic sound on the market. 2 years ago, we had an epiphany and were finally able to create a prototype that was more than just promising. Enter the VHorns Brass section, a collection of 6 instruments, 2 trumpets, 2 flugelhorns, and 2 trombones. Each one is based on recordings of a different musician. And we are confident in saying that to our ears, and hopefully yours too, VHorns is the most realistic VST available today. The technology we used is completely new, and we call it the HAT, Harmonic Alignment Technology. It's a hybrid of sampling and modeling, and it allows us to accurately reproduce and control the full dynamics of the instrument in real time, from the sound of a light breath to full power. Here's a quick example. A large part of what makes our model so realistic is that it's based on real samples from a real player. So it contains all the noises and small pitch, timbre, and volume variations of a live musician. And as a result, it just sounds real. Aside from the sound source, all of the techniques like vibrato, transitions, bends, etc. are pure modeling, which allows you to play the instrument in the most expressive way possible without having numerous key switches. Basically, it's like playing a real horn. You choose a note, and then you blow some air. Here's a short example demonstrating the power of VHorns. We had a musician play a musical phrase during the sampling session, and then we played the same one on VHorns, using only note selection and 2 MIDI CCs, one for the air, the other for vibrato and some occasional pitch bends. Okay, so now let's dive into the instrument itself and its interface. On the front interface, you'll find the main controls. 1. The vibrato that can be set to automatic. Automatic depending on time, and from which you can control the curve in the preferences or manually. 2. The amount of air. And 3. The amount of reverberation. All of these have an associated MIDI CC. To assign them, simply click on the small dot next to it and then move a CC on your keyboard or controller. Another useful feature that can be found on the front interface is the mutes. We included the most common ones: Hammond, plunger, straight, cup, and bucket. All of them were created following an in-depth process involving some very unusual sound emission and capture techniques. We won't divulge all the details that went into it, but what matters is how realistic it sounds. The first panel is for mixing. We captured each instrument with 4 microphone positions, which you can see above the sliders. You can mix them however you like and apply 3-band EQ and some ultra-high quality impulse response reverb. The other essential innovation in VHorns is the virtual space. On the second tab, you can see a virtual scene with 7 seats per row and 3 rows. Here, you can virtually place the instrument wherever you want by clicking on each seat. is not a simple panning feature. It's the real impulse response from that seat in a room to the microphones placed in front. This allows you to recreate an ensemble and place each instrument wherever you like, in true position. On top of that, you can select the type of microphone pair you want to use: ORTF, AB, XY, binaural, or MS. And you can control how wide you want the scene to be. Here's an example of one of our demos with simple close mics and using the virtual space. The Preferences tab allows you to take in-depth control on many more technical details, all of which is explained in detail on the webpage. But here are the main features. You can control the pitch aspects. A musician rarely plays notes perfectly in pitch from start to end, so there's often a pitch rise or fall, and some imprecision. And with VHorns, you can control all of that. The advanced pitch bend allows for very natural note bends, disabling it will lower the CPU usage. The transitions on horn instruments are very characteristic and can also be played in very different ways, with or without flutter. With a glide, and with more or less attack. And you can control and decide how to trigger them from the preferences. The half valve is often played by trumpet players, and you can control how much of it you want on the slow legatos and on the pitch bend. You can customize the vibrato, its speed, and how much pitch and volume modulation you want. We also introduced a vibrato with air feature that allows you to create a pitch vibrato with just the air control. You can easily play growls and adjust how much of it you want. You can control the response of the instrument to MIDI input with the air curve. We've added support for different wind controllers like the UI, the aerophone, as well as a basic keyboard. There are still a few key switches for special features like falls, rises, manual half valve, and more. And last but not least, we created an ensemble feature, because sometimes you just want to create one MIDI track and have a whole section play it and harmonize it automatically. All you need to do is set a timing and precision, select a scale, and by how much you want it transposed on each instrument that you load. You probably noticed the die as well. Most of these features are very important to make a performance realistic, but they're not fixed. For example, a musician will never have the same pitch curve attack twice. So we added a randomize feature that will pick a different value between the minimum and the value that you set each time a new note is played. With these instruments, whether you use a wind controller or a keyboard, you can play entirely convincing lines or solos, create sections, and even have sheet music MIDI exports play something still more convincing. Okay, that's all for this video. You can get VHorns from acousticsamples.net. Thanks for watching.